everyone, so my name is Amra and today I've brought my sister Kaylee to the channel and I'll be interviewing her about her first 2 years of marriage. You see a lot about first 1 year of marriage, but in this case 2 years is probably better. Gives us more to talk about, that's for sure. Okay, so tell me, what were some things that you expected out of marriage that ended up being true?
I think just the pure joy of being able to wake up next to someone that you love so much and just that companionship, and still enjoying that every day now after 2 years, and just knowing, like, just having that person all the time who's always just having your back and on your side and kind of like my protector, you know. So that's been super nice. And trying to think what else. I'm nervous.
That's the main one. That's a big one though.
I've never been interviewed. Yeah. But and then just being able to do things together. So just certain things that we enjoy doing and hobbies, like we're able to do them together a lot more now, which I guess I kind of knew would happen, and so those have been pretty exciting things.
Good. So now, what were some things that you did want to get from marriage that you didn't end up getting, or things that were unexpected for you?
I think one of the unexpected things was like the way I was raised, and the way I grew up. My dad was almost always home, and he didn't go out and do a lot of hobbies or like leave the house very often, and generally we had a lot of family time to just sit down and talk and just hang out at home, and that is not at all how my husband is. So he's gone a lot, and he has a lot of hobbies that are very time consuming, and so that was a huge adjustment for me. I didn't really expect that. I kind of expected, like, oh, we're gonna hang out at home and cuddle and watch movies and go on walks in the woods and do the kinds of things that I was so used to doing. But then I had to realize, like, we both grew up totally differently, and there's not one wrong way or right way, but it's just the kind of person he is, and for us to be able to just come together and find some kind of compromise there is good. So.
That's really good. Would you say that you were ready when you got married?
You know, I feel like I was ready. I mean, I feel like I was ready a lot, like, earlier, in a sense, but then once you get married, there's so many things you don't realize. Like, you're digging up stuff inside of yourself that you never would have seen if you were just single, because you're sharing a house with somebody and you're sharing a life, and you have to learn how to, like, basically work with someone else on a day-to-day basis. So I know on my wedding day I had just, you know, prayed, like, to have that peace and to feel confident about what I was walking into, and I was able to get to that point where the jitters went away, and I just felt like, yes, this is, like, the best decision I'm ever going to make, and I'm excited to walk into that. And I think there was a couple moments after we got married that was like, oh my gosh, I just made, like, one of the biggest decisions of my life, and there's no going back. Like, it was kind of heavy, and like, wow, this is such a big deal. But that's good to know too, like, because it's so important, and just feeling, like, the weight of it and, like, the real, like, power of the commitment. Like, I kind of felt that for a couple weeks afterwards, and so yeah, that was interesting, but
it carries more weight because you went into it with the value for the commitment that you were making, and that it was a lifetime commitment. So that's good. How long did your honeymoon phase last for you?
It probably lasted a few months. So I remember that fall, so we got married in July, and I kind of felt like a new season, or like a rebirth kind of. So actually, like, I got my hair done, like, kind of a bright, like an ombre, and it was the first time I had ever dyed my hair. And I don't think it meant, like, oh, I'm going through some crisis, so I'm gonna dye my hair. It was more like, wow, I'm a wife, and, like, this is a whole new season of life for me, and I'm excited. And I just remember, like, for the first few months just feeling, like, just like a queen because I had this man that was mine now, and I just felt like I truly felt what it felt like to be a bride for like the first few months. But we were also together for 3.5 years before we got married, so a lot of the, I guess what you could call the honeymoon phase, or the like kind of the infatuation feelings were like over that first few years of just getting to know each other and you know, falling in love and stuff. But we still get like a couple weeks here and there that feel like the honeymoon phase. So I feel like it's something that doesn't ever have to go away if you're both like seeing the best in each other and just working towards just being really good friends. So
yeah, nice. I like that. Before you got married, did you foresee certain issues and conflicts that arose?
I guess there were certain things that I knew about Alex, my husband, that I knew he thought a lot differently than I did, and he didn't like handle conflict or have conversations the same way that I did. So the way I grew up was we always talked about things just like in depth, and every day like there was always something to talk about, and if there was an issue, we would work through it and just be super open about it. And I think for him it wasn't quite as natural, so when we would have arguments before we were married, like I think it kind of like he kind of was taken aback, and it took him a while to really be able to think things through and you know, be able to like resolve a conflict. But we like sat in the car, and we would sit in the car with the car running for several hours just to work through this conflict until we came to an agreement. And it's different now because now that we're married, like I don't know if we see each other more or not, but like we live together, so like we know even if we don't resolve something like tonight, we'll wake up the next morning and still be together. So I think in a way it's hard because I like resolving the conflict right away, but sometimes it's good to let things kind of settle, and other people work through conflict differently, so it's kind of been an adjustment. But
okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't necessarily able to foresee that as much as you thought you would have?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it easy for you to adjust to living together with someone?
Yeah, I think it was like an easy adjustment. I think the only thing was like trying to be fair, even now, like trying to be fair with how much work do we do around the house, because we both work. I don't work quite full-time, but Alex works full-time. So we've kind of come to like a tentative agreement where I kind of enjoy doing most of the inside work, and he's better at the outside work. Like obviously I'm not going to go split wood because I literally like am incapable of doing that. So I guess we've kind of come to accepting that, and it took some time to get like to an agreement on that, and to like not be like you should be doing more and you should be helping more. So, but we're very open about that kind of thing. But he still kind of jokes around like, well, you like doing laundry, so I just let you do it, you know? But the other day he surprised me and was like, oh, I'm throwing a little laundry in, so can you switch it over to the dryer like later, because since he was going to be gone. So like I think that when I took a step back from trying to control how much he helped me with things or contributed to the household chores, like he actually became more willing and open to kind of do things that he wasn't really used to doing when he grew up. So
Right, that's really good. Do you have advice for people who are considering marriage soon?
I think the biggest piece of advice I have is when you're dating someone, you kind of see that person with rose-colored glasses, so you kind of see all the good things and why you're so in love with them, and you kind of the things that kind of irritate you or bother you, you don't really notice that much, or you kind of push them away, like oh, but I just love him so much, you know. So there were definitely things that I noticed before I got married that they were kind of like they kind of irritated me, or I didn't really like about him. But when you get married, those things really magnify, and sometimes that's all you can see is the bad things instead of the good things. So it kind of switches places, like from when you're dating to when you're married. So instead of seeing all the good, you sometimes end up seeing all the bad. So
Right.
I think my biggest piece of advice for that in that case is really look at the person you're with and think about, like, can I live with someone forever who has this, this issue that may seem small now, but could end up turning into something that is, like, has a huge impact on your marriage in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And any tips for newlyweds going through some of the same things you've had to go through on staying committed to their partner?
So I think the biggest thing is learning how to differentiate between, like, being in love and just loving someone. So for me, I really relied on the high and the in the clouds feeling of being in love, because it was easy and you just naturally want to do everything nice for that person, and it's just a lot easier to see the good things. So now that we've been together for almost, we've known each other for 6 years, we've been married for 2 years, and really learning, like, and going through the painful process of how can I truly love someone even if they're not loving me back exactly the way I want them to, So that's been, like, one of the harder things that I'm trying to learn. And then also when you're when you've been married just for a little while, you may kind of define your happiness by how well your marriage is going. And for a while I just had many feelings like we're just not compatible and things aren't going right, and what did I get myself into, So I
tips
guess,
for newlyweds to stay committed amidst those struggles.
So, like, know who you are and know that your partner can't define how you feel about yourself or define who you are. So like, if you're committed to like developing who you are and knowing who you are and not allowing other people or your spouse to bring you down, that's, like, one of the best things, because as, like, a wife and a Christian, like, I want to believe that I'm enough just because I'm loved. I'm already loved, like, and I have all the love that I need. So if Alex ever falls short of that, then I don't have to let it like tear down my whole world.
That's really good. And lastly, I just thought of this one. What is your favorite thing or a few favorite things about your partner?
I like that. So what I like about Alex is he's very steady and he doesn't have a lot of highs and lows, so he kind of balances me out. He also tolerates my highs and lows. So that's been nice, because it was crazy, because when, like, for the first few months of our marriage, I was on birth control and I was having, like, anxiety attacks every single night, and I would cry and I was sick. I was, like, nauseous all the time, which is, like, a side effect of birth control, I guess. For me, I feel like I got all the side effects. But he was so, like, steadfast and loyal, and he just stood by me during that whole time. That was so hard, and I did get off of it and finally started feeling better, and now it's just been getting better from there. It's taken a lot of time, but I think just because he's so patient, at first it irritated me, but now it's like, I'm just so glad that he is patient enough to let me work through, my feelings, and now I'm learning to find the balance between, like, being overly emotional about something and then avoiding an issue. And he's just really good about listening to me and just taking the time to ask me how I'm feeling, because a lot of guys don't really think about that, but he's been a lot more receptive to my feelings, and that makes it easier for me to just take a deep breath and try to bring things up in a calm way that he can be more receptive to. So
that's good.
It is, it's awesome. Like, marriage is awesome. And for the first couple of years, I was really disheartened, because I felt like, we could have gone into it better. We could have done things differently to make things easier, but every story is different. And now, like, looking back, I don't think I would have changed anything. Like, things are they just keep getting better. So
That's
just keep
good.
looking forward, and there are going to be struggles no matter what. Some marriages, like, are a lot, you know, like, maybe you're more compatible, or you have conversations the same way, you do all the same things, you just function similarly. But me and my husband are so different, and I'm just, like, learning to embrace that and still be, like, solid in who I am, so that I can be an overflowing cup into his life, and that just really helps, I think.
Well, I'm blessed by our interview today, so thanks for coming on. If y'all didn't know, this is my sister. You probably could tell. And if you were wondering, our shirts are from Feed My Starving Children, which is my favorite charity. We just finished packing meals for 80 plus kids for a whole year, so check them out online and check out their ministry. They're doing awesome things. Thank you for watching. You guys have a great day.